All right, welcome back to week 12 of the Kotlin and architecture components project, and where we are building a GDAX app to match this screen back here. And I've had a little trouble getting the emulator started. This is our third try, so hopefully third try's the charm. We'll get this guy up and running and we'll be able to see it running alongside kind of the model for what we're trying to build. So if you're new to this project, what we're trying to build is this page right here, where you can trade a cryptocurrency called Ethereum for dollars. And you've got people trying to sell it for different amounts that they'd like to sell at a certain price, and then people who want to buy certain amounts at a certain price. And then whenever they agree and a trade happens, that gets reported over here in the trade history section. Then there's also a price chart in the middle here to kind of show what's happened with the price over time. And that's really all we're trying to do with this project. And as always, if I'm difficult to hear or it is not easy to see something, just let me know in the comments over here. And hi everybody. And so without further ado, let's look back at the emulator, see if that's working out for us yet. Still running. Okay, give that a shot. So one thing I want to talk about in this stream is authentication. So last stream we were having some issues where the data that we were getting was starting to be a minute, 2 minutes, and I think at one point it was even 4 minutes behind the data that we were seeing over here on the screen. And I thought the issue there was that we weren't authenticated. So in here we're getting data from the WebSocket feed, and it says something about authentication. And also it's this line that really had me worried, was the WebSocket feed is publicly available, but connections to it, are rate limited to 1 per 4 seconds per IP, which by reading it, you would think that that's not an issue, but I thought maybe they worded it wrong or something, because connecting to a WebSocket is pretty simple. So once you're connected to a WebSocket, the messages get sent. You don't disconnect, reconnect, disconnect, reconnect to WebSockets. So rate limiting connections to WebSockets seems strange to me. But so I thought last week that this was maybe messages instead, and that we were getting some issue with that. And so I wanted to look into following these authentication steps to authenticate. And since the authentication steps require putting in my private keys and my, all that other stuff that I don't want to share with all of you, I did that offline, and I'd like to go through this process. And to cut to the end of the story, I think maybe the GDAX API is just slow, because running it yesterday and the day before, just letting the project run for a little bit, which, is it running yet? No. All right. It was keeping pace completely with the trade history and order book sections without being authenticated. So I don't think we need to be authenticated, but I want to talk about the steps for this because, I didn't succeed in getting authenticated. So following these steps should give us a pretty good idea of how to do it. And I can showcase how it's difficult to do with a WebSocket. So let me see if there's any questions on anything. Perfect. Okay, back to this. So it is possible to authenticate yourself when subscribing to the WebSocket feed. And then they tell us the benefits of that is that if you are one of the orders, you'll get a little more information about it. And so basically you send a subscribe message, and you also pass in fields as if you were signing a request to /users/self. And then it gives an example and tells us we can work through the same process to do this. So it's basically we need to send, this is what we're sending right now. So in the code over here, we've got our send message right here. It says type subscribe, product IDs, ETHUSD or ETHUSD. And we've got the same thing over here, except this one's looking for Bitcoin. And so we need to add these 4 fields: signature, key, passphrase, and timestamp. And so if you click up to here, it'll tell you how to add those fields. Now, if we wanted to get authenticated for the REST API, so to say place an order or cancel an order, or we wanted to do those sorts of things, we would authenticate differently. We would authenticate with headers and the GET or POST requests that we send to the REST API. But for the WebSocket, it said, as we saw earlier, that we want to add the 4 extra properties after this one. So I'm just going to Control Z to add those in, because I've already had them in there. Looks like I misspelled secret. And okay, so we've got those added in. And now let's look back at the docs to see what it says we need to do, because this really shocked me. So first you need to have your access key, which they give to you, and a timestamp, which is you just generate. That's super simple to do, and a passphrase, which is also just something you specify, really easy. This part is a little more difficult. This is the base 64 encoded signature. And then they tell you to see signing a message. So you come down here to signing a message. And it says the CB access sign header is generated by creating a SHA-256 HMAC using the base 64 decoded secret string on the prehash string timestamp plus method plus request path plus body, where plus represents string concatenation, of course. And base 64 encode the output. The timestamp value is the same as the other timestamp value. So the timestamp is this timestamp. And the body is the request body. Typically get. Or typically for get requests, there would not be a request body. And the method should be uppercase. So this is a bit difficult to parse through what they're looking for here. But there's a couple functions that, it's basically just a couple functions they want you to call on this combination of characters. So you get the timestamp, and somewhere in here it says in seconds. I think it's in another block. Yeah, there we go. Must be a number of seconds. So when you use, and here, when you get system.currentTime millis, of course that's giving you milliseconds. So divide by seconds to get the seconds timestamp. And then you get all that, and you concatenate them, which I have this generate signature function, which, full disclosure, is copied completely from this Java implementation of a GDAX exchange, which doesn't include WebSocket authentication. So they're using this function for REST API authentication. So I assume it would work for us, but I can't seem to get anything showing for that. And we'll see more about that later. But so when you run into problems and you don't understand things like, you know, all those words that, yeah, all these words, look for somebody else who's maybe already done the work and see if you can get some hints from there. So for example, this base 64 get decoder decode stuff, that's good to know about. I'm not sure if I would have found that very easily. And then this GDAX constants.shared mac part, they have a constant that they use for that, which just does, where did I put that function? I put it right here. That just does this part, mac.getInstance, and this hmac SHA-256 constant that you pass into it. So assuming this works, and it should be the same as this, though there maybe would be something that happened and it automatically converting from Java to Kotlin. But so we got that, so we generate the signature. And so remember, at the beginning we have to base 64 decode the secret key, then we have to do all this nonsense to it, and then we have to encode the whole thing back to base 64, and then we take that signature and we pass it in here as the signature parameter to what we're passing in. And let's just run this real quick, actually, which is going to be a problem if the emulator doesn't kick off for us. So let's close the emulator because that's not working for some reason. And actually, let's check the processes to see if there's maybe an emulator. Nope, not terminal. Activity monitor. Okay, quit activity monitor. And all right, gotta find the activity monitor again. There it is. Okay, and I'm gonna look for an emulator process that's maybe not been dead because I haven't been able to start the emulator yet. So let's see here. It would take a ton of memory. So yeah, there we go. Android Studio uses the most memory. All right, I'm just gonna close this guy. Well, let's try it one more time. Let's go to here and maybe we'll pick a different device. So we'll pick API 22 down here. I don't think that should make a difference, though it's not telling us any reason why the emulator is not starting, so I don't have a lot to go off on. All right, let me see if there's any questions on any of that, though I don't know that I can explain. So for the most part, just trying to copy what they've done in other places to get signed in. And if I can get this, and I might actually, oh good, Android is starting, I think that's new. Let's see if we've got, Might have some old logcat messages we could look at. No, it's just going to be a ton of message receives. Yeah. That fills up the whole log pretty quickly. All right, so then we've got a new emulator. It's this one. Get on there. Log stuff is happening. Hey, cool, there's the app. So let's see. Now, okay, let's come in here and take this. No, wait, no filters is on. That's good. So then let's set it to our custom thing. Cool. So here we have what do we have? Illegal argument exception. Oh, that's interesting. I must have changed something else. Oh, yes. Darn it. Okay, so I guess I can't demo that without having a valid base64 key. So these were, before the stream, these were my key, my secret key, and my passphrase, which I'm not going to show on the stream. But unfortunately, it looks like this actually checks to make sure that what you're passing in is base64, which is a really good idea. So I don't think I'm going to be able to demo this as I thought I would. But let's jump to the shortcut part, is that when you run it, what happens is that immediately you get an on closing event here, and it'll log close with a code of 1005. And then if you Google that, and you're able to find it, which was a little bit difficult. So I found it here on the Mozilla docs for WebSockets. Code 1005 is close no status, and it indicates that no status code was provided even though one was expected. So we're hitting the WebSocket, it's closing immediately and telling us nothing. And so that's about as far as I got on trying to authenticate. And if we do GDAX WebSocket, I'm going to put this part in quotes, 1005, and we search for that. Do I need to add Coinbase to that? WebSocket won't connect, maybe. Coinbase WebSocket. Actually, let me put in tools here so we can change this to past week. The thing I found was 6 days ago, somebody had this same complaint that they could not, but I guess I can't find it now, but it looked like on the Coinbase forum somewhere, somebody had the same issue where they're trying to authenticate on the WebSocket, and all they're getting is this 1005 event, which means actually nothing. I mean, this is the worst error message you could send. So that's the end of that rabbit hole. If anybody knows how to connect to a WebSocket API, I don't think we need it at the moment, because it looks like perhaps last week the servers for GDAX were just really slow or something. But yeah, if we want to get connected that way, it's just not going to work. Though what would be a good approach is you could test your, and we're not going to do this approach, but we could test this generate signature function on a REST API request that we're trying to authenticate. And then we could verify that the REST request works, and we're able to say place an order for a specific account or cancel an order or something like that. And that would let us know that we're for sure got this generate signature function doing the right thing, and we're able to pass in, we would verify that we're able to pass in these 4 parameters and have GDAX kick back a success. Yay, you did it. But without taking that step, it's really hard to debug with just that really awful error code. So we are going to take this out, which I'm going to do like, so let's see, we don't need any of this, which means we don't need signature or that or this. And then we can even put this back onto one line like it was before. And the triple quotes, if you've not seen that before, that's a really just a nice way to make strings. So if you have strings that contain quotes, you can do triple quotes, and then anything inside triple quotes is just a string, regardless, just period, which is really cool. So now we don't need this function anymore. Get rid of that. And if we run it now, everything should work and hopefully be up to date. It was yesterday and the day before, so it should hopefully flash along with the UI that we see over here once it loads, unless I've also messed something else up in the project. Oh, there's the thing. Back to here, and then bring this up, and then maximize this in the screen. Okay. Did that all just happen? Well, so far it's up to date. Yeah, that 1650 came right on. And then I think what's cooler is if we pop to the Open Orders tab, this guy should pop in and out a lot more reliably, I think, if it's actually connected and working. Although that's not looking correct. Or updating. No, okay, there it goes. It is updating. Now that's accurate. Okay. It's a little harder to read since our bars are differently sized than theirs, but I like our bars better because all this nothing doesn't tell us much. I guess we could change that, but yeah, okay, let's change that. So their bar is like 200 was barely out here. So theirs is maybe 1,000 as a max. Let's change that real quick. So that's pretty easy to change. We can come over to the project and come to, would be Open Orders View Model, right? Actually, we need to do it in both, or rather fragment. And orders. Yeah, this is Open Orders. No, it'd be the adapter. Yeah, there we go. So 80. And I think we use the same number in the trade history adapter. No, trade history we use 200. Interesting. So let's change those both to 1,000. And let's do it with constant. So I guess we'll put it here. Val max bar size or max, I don't know, max trade size. Set that equal to 1,000. And then we can just take max trade size, copy it into this adapter. And we'll need to make it a float. So back into here, float, close that guy. And trade history, yep, max trade size, max trade size. All right, and then if we run it again, it should look a little closer to what we had. And so, all right, that looked fairly good. Let's see, I don't remember exactly which messages we've handled with the open orders thing. So let's pop into message parser and let's see, we've got change messages, and these are affecting open orders. Good. Done messages also affecting open orders by deleting them from the open orders table. That's good. Match message is doing the same thing, updating our table. Open message is what inserts into that table in the first place. And received, we don't really need to do anything about. It's just letting us know that we've got the message, or the order was received. Once the order is received, it should immediately send another order, like matched or open, depending on if it matched immediately or was left on the order book. So I think we're handling everything. And let's pop back here. 57 is not anywhere close to 1,000. Trade history, adapter, view width. Oh, did we? Size +1. Okay, so the view of the size bar. Oh, well, that's not how that works. Okay. Yeah, that's not a good approach to that. So before I solve that, let me check back into YouTube, see if there's any questions. Cool. How much do you need to know Java before you start the Android track? You should take a few, so probably the first 3 Java courses would probably be enough to get you started. If you go to the first Android course, there should be some prereqs listed at the top, and that should tell you exactly what you need to get going. All right, so back to this issue. So what the problem is here is we are setting the width here to whatever, and let's see if we got a bigger one. Nope, so far just 57. But by setting it the width to whatever the size is, unless it's greater than max trade size, we're really giving it way too much room there. So if we could somehow get the max width that is available there, that would be the way to go here. So we need to figure out the width and pixels, or a DP at least, of that is available to here. So from here to here, which is really just the X value of this text view. So if we can get that, let's see if we can get that. So that would be the size text view. Yeah, size text view. So size text view dot X. Let's just log that real quick. So E, then in here we'll go size X, and we'll call it size text view dot, oops, gonna need brackets on that, set text view, okay, did I spell that wrong? So yeah, size. Guess I spelled side correctly, but yeah, not the right word. All right, so let's get that going. And are we still logging all the messages? Because that's more than we need to log. Yeah, matched order received. Yeah, let's find that. So to find that, we can Command Shift F and order received. Is that not what it said? Back here, message received. So actually just keeping that in caps and then clicking match case should be pretty close. Or not. There we go. So let's get rid of that. And it's logging something else after that, isn't it? Yeah, matched order. So we're not checking that anymore at the moment. We might get back to checking that more if we need to. Right now, let's fix that size thing. And that's going to run. Is this it? Let's see. There it goes. So it clears out. And another thing I suppose we should do, well, that's a bunch of orders, is this, we might want to get some icons here or figure out a way to get the text in the middle. I think last video I said we'd find a way to get the text in the middle, but I think that's a little less, that's more difficult. And I think finding a icon would be kind of a fun thing to do anyway. All right, let's see if we've got some messages here. Size X is 0 and 270. So it looks, I mean, 270 looks like the good number there, but that doesn't look reliable at all. So there's some magic you can do with views and like an on post inflate listener sort of deal to find out where they actually are, which might have to happen. That is super frustrating. Why are those 270 and those are down there? Is there a constraint to make something a percentage? Probably. Let's look at the code over here and sure, trade history adapter. And also let's go back here. So that max trade size is not going to work for us. So let's get rid of that. So it'll give us some red squigglies as sort of a very formal to do. And so this is, again, just to reiterate, this is saying that if the trade is bigger than the max trade size, then just cap it at max trade size. Otherwise, make it equal to trade.size plus 1. And what the plus 1 does is just, so if you have a trade that's like 0 or 2, or like, you know, 0.12, that's gonna not really show up. You wouldn't even see anything, just because it's too little. So adding 1 makes it so that you have at least 1 pixel of width, which is necessary to show anything. So that's good to have in there. Now, constraint layout.layout params. let's see, constraint percentages. Android. Guideline, okay. You can constrain views to guidelines, so I don't know if I can create a guideline. Actually, let's see, what is our view here? Actually, it is encode, and that's Command B to jump to it, navigation declaration. So let's put in a guideline. Well, actually, would the guideline, would that even give us the point we need, though? Because we need the width. That's somewhat frustrating. So we can call it 270, but that won't be quite right on a device. Okay, there, I know something we can do that'll be close enough. We can call this maybe a third of the screen, or a little less than a third of the screen. We can get the width of the screen pretty easily, and then from there we can just pick a nice round number for us. Okay, so Android get screen width, and I know I've got a really good function for this somewhere actually. Actually, let's try to find it by searching anyway. Screen dimension and pixels. And what's wonderful is that all of these things will run down and be a lot shorter. And get metrics, great. And Kotlin. So here we can do this, and it can be called width pixels equals and okay, let's write on a new line here, get, and then in here let's do val metrics equals display metrics. Can we just do, I guess we, yep, okay, so then let's get the window manager. Let's make this a extension function on context, and then get the window manager. Yeah, that's right. All right, and then we can do the default display dot metrics dot get metrics, and we can pass in our metrics, and then we can do metrics dot width pixels. And now, what does it want? That does it need a return? Needs a type annotation, be initialized. Okay, and then what are you complaining about? Oh, you actually need a return. Okay. Not entirely sure, but so I guess the difference between maybe statement versus expression, but so, and if you're doing like a val and an if, val x equals if, you know, true, or a when statement, or some other places where you could use brackets, you would just have, you know, 1. You don't need any sort of return for that, so sometimes I get those confused. But, all right, so that should get us the width pixels from anywhere where we have a context. And so, and here, let's go val max width, or max size width equals, and let's set it to, oh, we definitely have a context in the adapter, right? Well, we do on the view, so view dot context dot it was width pixels, and that divided by 4 f. So now we have the max size width as that, and then we need to scale our view width to be a certain percentage of that. So let's say 1,000 is the max for that. So we'll do val view width, and we don't need to use DIP for this anymore because we are just doing the actual width of pixels and scaling it based on how much. So actually first let's cap the size at 1,000. So that's the biggest we want to deal with. So val size equals trade.size. So we might need to bring back our max trade size variable, but for now I'll just put it in as 1,000. If it's greater than 1,000, then 1,000, else size, or else trade.size. Okay. All right. Float. Oh no. Rather float this one. So that error there was that this is an integer and this is a float. And since these are different, size would be cast to any, which is not what we want. We'd like it to be of a specific type, and float works just fine. All right, so now size is constrained to 1,000. And next, let's see. Constrained to 1,000, now we need to make it scale for max size width. So we need to take size divided by 1,000 times max size width to get the view width. And what are you complaining about? Do you need that to be an integer? Integer, so size width, this like that as int. Does that work? No. .to int. Sure, there we go. And let's see if that works. So that should constrain 1,000 as the max size. Okay, max trade size. Right, we got to do it over here too. So again, just change this to 1,000 and 1,000F, and then we can run it. And it will only for the trade history. So we haven't done it for the open orders yet. So only for here, it will take only a quarter of the screen. So only from like here over maybe. So only this section, which is probably not quite the right percentage, but it'll be close enough to just test it out with. It'll take a quarter of the screen and then scale it by 1,000 or not. Maybe it won't. Oh, okay. What's going on here? Oh, I know what's happening. That's super interesting. All right, so that's really cool. Let's see here. We've got, I want to show this. So Android match parent. Match parent. So match parent right here. Nope, not match parent, I suppose. Fill parent. One of you is equaling this somehow. I thought it'd end up being 0, but so all these ones that are filling it up are 0. So somehow we're getting, let's look at the math. So trade size of, let's take an example from here, 0.001 is not greater than 1,000. So we get a size of 0.001. Then we get that divided by 1,000, which is even smaller, times a number that's probably like 200. So it's going to be 0, especially when you make it an int. So constraint layout params 0, 0, I guess is match parent. Though it says it's not. It says it's -1, but I guess I don't trust it. Let me just Google match parent equals 0. So Android match parent 0 maybe. Because I'm pretty sure 0 means match. I don't know. Oh, is it because it's a constraint layout? Okay, that's what it is then. So, right, it is a constraint, isn't it? Yeah, because it's this guy, which is constraint layout right there. Okay, so setting it to 0 is match parent. So that's another good reason to add +1. All right, let's come back here and we'll take this guy and we'll do +1. And that will fix those all being match parent. Wow, I'm pretty sure we hit that exact error. And that's probably how we got the +1 the first time. That's cool. I still like that error. All right, that looks a lot better. And our 5, or our size, like 5 trades, are teeny tiny, just like they are in this page. All right, let's get some more trades. Come on. Give us something to look at. There we go. And see that 5, it's a little more than the other one. I mean, I think we're still doing a better job than they are because that's exactly the same line. But did we miss that 13? Did we come after it? We came after it. And did we roll these two up? 1, 1, 5. Or maybe that we just caught the end of the 13s. 11. Huh. Oh, okay, so it wrapped these two are the same right here. I wonder if that's an error on our end or what's going on there, if this is actually 2 orders. So that is interesting though. So see this 5.334 right here. Is this 5.324 plus this 0.01? Now that means we're getting 2 match trade messages. We're getting 2 matches, which is okay. But I'm not sure why they wouldn't show that as 2 trades if we're getting 2 match messages. So that's interesting. And another thing that we could maybe look into fixing, which I don't think is that big of a deal at the moment, is this right here. So this 3.5 e negative 7 is this trade right here, which is, you know, 3.5 e to the negative 7. That's how small that is. Actually, you know what? Let's Google that because that's something that, you know, probably has a quick fix. Android, don't use scientific notation. Gotta do a decimal format. Okay. Okay, let's see if there's a different solution. You could use printf. Well, we're not trying to print it. We just want it to be a good number. Double, okay, decimal format it is. Well, okay, let's get that decimal format 0. And I guess we grab that. So let's see this set maximum fraction dis. All right, getting a little ahead of ourselves on that one. Let's quickly scroll through here, make sure we've got all the sizes right, and we'll come back to this in a sec. But first we have to get the open order section done as well, which should be popping in here. Unless that, nope, it should be there. What is going on? Logcat. Oh, are we still logging size? Let's not. Though now we're getting a constant 270. What? That's strange. So Control Shift F, size X, that. Really? Okay, I guess we're not logging anymore. No, we have to be. That's current. All right, where was that? Right there. Get rid of that. Because that's not telling us anything anymore. Oh, and of course it's going to be the right number now that we've set it based on the width of the screen rather than trying to set it as the left edge of the size text view. That makes sense. And then here we're going to trade history. We can grab price text view. Okay, so we're using format num string, which I guess, okay, so we've already got a function for this. We just need to change it. So jump to before decimal, after decimal. Okay. So our number, oh, this is a great spot to use a test. Let's do that. API test, let's get a new compiler class. This is going to be a class called number format test. Yeah, sure. And then in here, we're just going to copy that. So this is not a great test because this one just, that test is mostly just to test the API endpoint without having to launch Android, actually use a device. So, all right, we've got test, run test, number format test, or number, let's just call it test. All right, so, and here we want to call format numstring with, so format numstring with that number that was really small. Oh, there we go. We got the open orders coming in. Let's see if those are correct real quick. 65, 80, 104, 64. That's really weird. I'm gonna have to keep trying this off stream because it was flashing just like this screen. I mean, it was perfect. So maybe it has something to do with me streaming right now or something else going on. But though this section's doing pretty well, that's keeping up. All right, and then that loads up quickly. Okay, let's go back to where we were over here. So we're testing out this, and actually I'm just gonna jump back to here so we can see how many zeros that was. So it was 1, 2, 3, 4, at the 6, 5, 6, and then 3, 5. So back here, we've got 0.1234565, comma, decimal spots. Wonder what we've been passing in for that. Control tab, trade history adapter. For size, 8, passing in 8. So back to my test, and we're going to pass in an 8. And I guess it wants this to be a float. And let's just print that and then run our test just so we can see what it is without having to run up the app. Though I think it still builds, which is a little annoying. Though it doesn't on subsequent runs of the test, so it's kind of a toss-up. And then I guess while that's gonna build, or nope, still building, let's check if there's any questions on anything. Sweet. And test failed. Wah, wah. So let's look at the code. You kidding me? All right, we are going to, so since this function lives in this exts file and this file uses color, it's telling us color is not mocked, which means, so anything you use from Android requires a device. So running a test like that, no good. So we're just gonna copy this function out and we're just gonna paste it in my test. Give it a 2, call number 2, run the test. And that is exactly what we don't want it to show. So we did it. And so let's come back here and try doing some decimal format stuff. So in here, yep, convert it to Kotlin for me, please. Thank you. Then we need to import decimal format. Let's go from Java so we can actually use it. So remember, if we import from Android, it might give us that error that we saw last time. So we've got all Java imports up here. So we're good to run this without running the device. And use property syntax, sure thing. So if you're not familiar with Kotlin, pretty much everywhere in Java where you see a set something function, you can replace it with just setting that thing. So you get rid of the set keyword and the parentheses and replace it with an equal sign. And of course you get rid of the semicolon because Kotlin. Okay, so then we've got that, and let's see, decimal format 0. Wait, did you format a thing? Oh, df.format my thing. Okay, so let's, and we've got this function somewhere else, so we can totally just chop that up. Let's return, right, df.format my thing, number, which means we don't need that decimal spot stuff anymore. Okay, let's run this now. Yikes. What do you have to say about that? Do we need to pass in a double? That's about the only difference there. Double, double, make this a double. Actually, we don't need to make it a double, it just is double. And so that could be lost precision from floats there. Yeah, okay, that's exactly what that is. So that's perfect. Let's do that. So let's try replacing our function with this function. And then we'll have to make a couple extra changes to it. Yes, please import all those things, and we don't need decimal spots anymore. Okay, we're just gonna call it that. And then when we run it, we'll see if this gives us any problems. So for example, one thing it could do is give us a lot more decimal places. Actually, it might. Right, so we have to pass in doubles here now. So view width 0 to make it a double, 0.0 to make it a double. Okay, maybe we need to keep this function around because it works for the price text view. Yeah. Okay, let's we might need to use more than one function here. So that solves us for so back here, let's Control Z this away. Actually, let's Control Shift Z it all back, and then let's copy this, and then Control Z back to what we had, and then we can just do this and format. Will this be format size string? That'll work. And then this is format price string maybe, and then this will give us a bunch of red wherever we've used that. So let's come in here and format price string, trade history adapter, format price string. This is going to be format size string. We're going to have to pass in trade.size, and that's it, and it's going to need to be a double. So trade.size, and that's easy enough to do. We can 0.0 on that, and what trade.size is a float. Okay, so let's, in that case, let's just convert it to a double. So make that a float, and then dot to double. Okay, and see if that'll that'll work for us or if that gives us too much. So like it did the first time where we were using, so this is format size string, the sum, dot to double, which wait, shouldn't that have been a double? Yeah, you can't take in a double DIP function. So we pass you this. Oh, and this isn't what we want to do anyway. We still have to update this, which let's do now. So it is size text view, size bar, max size width. I think that's all we need. So this is everything from size bar to price text view. What? Take me back. Oh, we ran the darn test. Size bar to price text view. Using pst.sum instead of trade.size. And so let's see, I'm putting in 3 pst.sums here. So I'm going to put them in and then Control Z and make sure there were only 3 to begin with to make sure that we're doing this correctly. So 1, 2, 3, that looks good. Control Shift Z, bring it all back. Or since I'm on a Mac right now, Command Shift Z. All right, cool. That's going to give us all that. And then we need to put this to run unnamed, which let's give that a name. Edit configurations, unnamed app, or another GDAX app. Give it a nice descriptive name. All right, now let's run the GDAX app. And now the price string is still being formatted with our nice simple just break it apart formatting, which let's look back through that function again. Just takes the beginning and the end and it pads everything nicely, which I think we still want to do. So this might not work. Okay, back to the emulator. While that's going to take a second to get some data, let's see if there's any questions going on. Cool. All right, so here, that seems too long. Yeah, that seems way too long. This seems to be worse than we had it before. This is 1053:59. 359, there's a bunch of these. 142272. Yeah, that's way off. And then this one over here, that looks awful. Okay. Let's take a different approach then. So let's get out, or let's not get rid of this, but let's use format price string. Or what have we called these before? Format num string. Let's do that. Let's make this format num string. So I'm going to shift F6 to do that. Really, I'm going to click it, but don't tell anyone. So format num string, get that in there. And we're going to use that instead because that looked better. And we're going to regroup and look at the issue again. So format num string, and format num string, which now we want to float again. And number of decimal places, which was 8. So that's that. And then put in an 8 there. Run this again, and let's think again about how much of an issue the scientific notation is, or really look again and see how we might be able to fix that here. So what does the number look like if we do it this way? Let's, don't cut all that. Cut this, let's come back to our test. get this in here. Run this one, which is the original, which takes in that as a float. And I want it to also just print the number. .toString. I want to see what that's giving us, because if that might have the ease in it, that's not what we're looking for. So I'm just going to pop this back over here because it will not affect the running of the app, which is currently going. All right, we're back to looking good there. All right, and our test ran, test passed, of course passed. Okay, so first thing that runs is this, and that prints the right thing. Then this prints the wrong thing. So we need a float.toString to give us the actual representation. Okay, so Java float toString. Yeah. And that might do it. Use a long. Oh, because his is an integer. Well, isn't that nice? So what we've got that's really nice is we break the number apart and then we add padding to make everything line up, because it's important for us to have a decimal point and just the right spot to make these numbers look correct. So for example, any of these double digits, I mean, this is clearly larger because it's the only one with a number over here in the left column. So we kind of like to have the string stuff, and there probably is a way to do that not too difficultly with a decimal format or some other thing. But okay, let's see what we have. String.format, okay. Let's try that. String format %.8f would be then what we're using. And I wonder if we could do that with a string format too, or a string template. So string.format, then it's %.8f, or really decimal spots f, which to get that f in there, you're gonna have to put this in brackets. So decimal spots f. And then we need to pass in number, and then val new number equals that. And then let's, since we're in here, let's start by print line, just something to let us know we're at the beginning. And then let's print line new number, which we also need to include. Okay, then we can run the test again. New number looks good, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. So now let's put new number, which is now a string. Is that all we need? Let's run some other numbers. Let's do 0.00001, 35, 3.5, or 3.55 even. And then let's do 3,550. Oh, that's going to print a lot of stuff. Yeah. So we do want the 8 decimal points, right? So that's 35, 3.5. What? Oh, no, it got the print right. But we're not using new number yet. We are not returning that. That's not what's being returned, so this definitely needs to be a double. Double. Which is why we need 2 different functions, 0.0 and 0.0 to convert to double for those. Okay, so new number is basically what it would return otherwise. So here it gives us this versus this. So this is correct. We want here new number wins. New number wins again for this one. New number wins again for this guy. I think new number's got this all the way. So let's try this instead. So I'm going to come over here to extensions and we'll make format size string. Return that, which actually in that case, we don't need any of this ceremony. It can just be, we don't even need to tell the return type if they can tell what it is. Easy peasy. And this will be 8 always for formatting the size string. So let's get that size string in there, and let's just pop back into the app real quick to see if we can find one that says E. There we go. So looks like we might need to wait a couple minutes to find one that comes in that we can debug with this, but let's go ahead and we're going to take our format size string function and pop it into our trade history adapter. And let's just do it at the trade history adapter since we will need to change these into floats. So trade.size here needs to be 2 double, which I guess isn't that much work. So maybe we'll put it into orders adapter. Oops, that's going to run the test, so stop that. And then let's change this to GDAX app. Well, I guess it ran the test anyway. Back to the app. All right. That's all the old data, which should be cleared shortly, I think. Yep, there we go. And new stuff's coming in. Got a really good connection, I guess. Except I think this is all terrible. Right? Let's see. So I feel like those are all wrong. Not the wrong numbers, just the wrong. We're getting float nonsense like this 13 one, 226. It's 226430000, and we've got 226429994. So that is a float issue. Our float being converted to a double is not going so well, which is a bigger issue. So before we tackle that, let me just check, make sure there's no questions over here. Awesome. So that issue that we need to deal with, oops, that's the wrong button, is, all right, back to here. Yeah, so we've got floats that are not converting well to doubles. And so this, we don't want to do this trade.size to double. We want trade to just be a double. So where's trade come from? Trade comes from here, which is this, and we need to come into here, and we need to come in and we need to make size a double. And that's going to give us probably a lot of things to change. Let's find out. So first of all, we can make this a double, and then that'll all be doubles, which is good. And here, oh, price size tuple does not use a double. Price size tuple Is this really never used? That is never used. Get rid of it. And also notice that getting rid of this changes our open orders adapter from a file to a class over here. So if there's more than one thing in it, it just shows the file icon, but otherwise it shows what it is. So this one has something at the top, like this trade class that we do use, and just change to have a double in it. And where do we make that new trade, huh? Here. Yep, there we go. So it.size, and this needs to be double, and it is a list of match orders. So match orders, we're gonna have to come into our data, come into our match order class, and we're gonna need to make the size a double. Okay, and that's going to affect our messages. Where is message parser? Which needs to have a double inserted right here. So size get string dot to double. Okay, that's gonna get the size of the matches. And you know what? We should change the size of, well, anywhere there's size, we should change it to be a double. Remaining size here is being pulled in as a string. Okay, sure. Do we have, yeah, these are being strings as well. Okay, well, let's just do that as a double then for now, and we'll see if that, you know, if there's other errors down the line from that, we can obviously fix those. Okay, so let's get rid of message parser, get rid of the app class, yeah, get rid of the WebSocket, open orders adapter. I think, you know, it's a double, right? Got it going on. Oh yeah, right here. Nope, that's now a double. And we're inserting a double. Is this gonna run? Did I fix them all? Suppose we'll find out. And pull up this. So that number is really long and looks wrong, and that's because it was in from the previous database, hopefully. Got a big order there at 300. 13. Okay, that one does go all the way out, so that's cool, fine. And then that looks like a combo deal again. So 5, 2, 4, 2, perfect. 2. Okay, these have combined to create this 9 order here. So not sure how that all goes together. I guess, no, see, it doesn't even combine the seconds. So this one is different from this one, and it came on the same second. So I'm not sure what we're missing there. Though, to be clear, we're not missing anything data-wise. It's just, and showing the data, we're showing it a little differently. And look at that, are we ahead of that? Oh no, it just gave us a ton of orders here, and they must have wrapped it up into this 25 somehow. How did they know to do that? I don't, not sure what's going on there. But that's not necessarily an error on our part, just a difference of how to show the data. Though we may fix that later. And also, let's look for one. Okay, there's that 6565. That's good. Let's look for one that would have been an E otherwise. So we're looking for something with a bunch of zeros in front and then something at the end. Probably at least 4 zeros. Is this all the way to the bottom? Is that all I can scroll? I guess. Okay. We may have to wait on some more orders to come in, as these are all big enough that they would have worked with our old function. Maybe not this one, but either way, so far it looks like it's working. Let's check on open orders to see if we've got, so this is super easy to check with this 1644 order right there. No idea why it takes a second here. I think because my computer is doing a lot of things, which makes it a little difficult to screencast this, just because it seems to work differently. Well, it seems to work better when I'm not I've not got so many things running. But, all right. Are you going to pop in anything? Guess I'll just let you go for a second. Okay, so it looks like we fixed that problem. Let's get some, I suppose, icons down for our stuff down here. And we've got that, oops. We've got that open, I think. Yeah, here we go. Bottom, navigation views. And we can add icons. And do we need to give them a color for enabled? So one of the things that's missing, customizing the styles, item background, item icon tint, item icon or item text color. So none of those are the, so see when we click on one of these, well, that was weird. It came in immediately when I clicked on price chart. Okay, huh. Okay, well, there's that big order, so that's certainly working, and that's about what is there. So yeah, I'm happy with that. And yeah, there's that 133. It's a little behind, but totally there. Okay, so that's working. And see, when we click on these, the text gets a little bigger. It shows a little thing. I wonder if it's supposed to show like a slightly different background color to let you know that it's selected. Though currently we're changing the toolbar up here, which, you know, lets you know pretty clearly which tab you're on. So, trying to think if there's some good, let's browse through the icons and just see what we can find for that. And let me just clean up some of these tabs real quick. So we don't need this guy anymore. We don't think. Actually, we should check that. It's weird. We see a lot of this exact same number, 159516. Interesting. Well, I don't see any E's. I'm not sure I see any that would have been otherwise, but we'll call that fixed for now and close this tab. As well as that one. Don't need that either. This was also unnecessary, and this was for figuring out WebSocket stuff that didn't end up working. So was that, and this one. All right, that helps a lot. All right, so let's go to, nope. We want to go to Android Studio, there we go. And we want to go to our res folder, drawable folder, and you want to right click and new vector asset. And you want to click here, and our tabs are called Open Orders, Price Chart, and Trade History. So I'm sure we can get something good for price chart. That should be an easy one. Bet chart gives us something. Yep, that'll do. So let's get that in there. Yep. Then let's get another new vector asset. And this one will either be open orders or trade history. So let's see if there's a history thing. Sure, let's use that guy. So history, next, finish. Yep, go ahead, add that to Git. And what's cool about these is they're defined as paths and fill colors. So by using vector assets, it's just an XML file. I mean, this is such a tremendously smaller file than it would be to use an actual image. So that's one really cool way that we can help to shrink our APK sizes. And I'm not even sure what it just did there. It's debugging something. All right, drawable. Need one more for history, show chart. So open orders, that's kind of a tough one. Sorry, I must have clicked the wrong thing there. And we've started the debug again. Look at me go. What am I clicking? Oh, it's right there. There's no test in the drawable folder, silly. Vector asset. There we go. Nailed it. All right, open orders. So usually what I do when I'm looking for something is not search for it, because don't get quite as lucky as I've gotten with those two. So open orders is a lot closer to, I guess, a normal situation. So what we want to do is if we look at open orders or price chart, whichever one decides to load, super weird. Then we can see that, you know, it's kind of 2 rows, you know, sort of a road thing that's got red and green fighting each other. So I don't think we're going to be able to find something quite like it, but if we could find maybe just rows would be good, which I'm sure we could find, but let's see what the options are here. So I like to just scroll through it from the top. It doesn't take that long to get to the bottom, just kind of see if anything hits me. Clear all is close, but it's not that good. We could use dehaze here. That would be fine, but I think we want maybe more horizontal lines to show what's going on, because this also looks super similar to like the hamburger icon that you find at the top of the navigation drawer of a bunch of apps to open the drawer. Actually, which is this icon right here. We're just not using it anymore. So that's not too bad either. This is getting into the photo stuff. Some photo icons here. Format align justify is not terrible. But, and also it could be something else that makes you think open order. And to a certain extent, it doesn't have to be that good because you do have the text there saying what it is. And you know, there's not necessarily a great icon to represent open order. So, yep, there's that menu icon we have, which really is not different from that haze icon from 5 seconds ago. So that's interesting. It seems they've got very similar icons for those 2 things. And let's see. Could go with reorder up there. This is kind of an interesting one, showing connections. Maybe they'd make a good like trade history or something. I think we're fine with the actual history thing though. As long, I don't know that people actually recognize it, but we could do this as storage. That's a fine one as well. I think I like that one the most so far. Okay, let's do that. That's so weird. Here's view headline. That's very similar to the other 2 that are 4 horizontal bars. Okay, let me check comments to see if anybody else saw anything. Cool. All right, I'm gonna go with that one that I just saw. Where'd you go? Storage. Let's go storage. And we can keep its name the same. Not a big deal. Yep, add to Git. Cool. And then fill color. Let's use whatever color we're using for the text on those tabs, which I believe the tabs ended up being a layout file or a menu. I suppose it's a menu. So Android icon. We're getting there. One of these days it's gonna autocomplete. What are you doing? What is even happening here? All right, don't just go away with that stuff. Give me back what I'm looking for. All right, icon equals drawable. Trade history was history. And then this one, Android icon, is drawable chart. And this one is Android icon drawable. This is open orders, so this one is storage. Okay, cool. Wow, it tried to run drawable. Go away. How do I make that go away? Drawable in app. This minus button right here. Gone. And it's gone. So we can go GDAX app and run it again. Oh no, darn it, it's gone already. Wanted to peek in there and see if there was anything that we could check to see if we got the number formatting for sure correct. So another really small order coming through. Would have been nice to see. Okay, so we're gonna need to tint those to be a certain color. And those actually look okay. The price chart one looks really good. So let's see if there's a tint property. Android tint color. It's really not much here. Although we don't necessarily have to tint them, we can just change the colors. And is that just white? It looks kind of white. Let's say it's white. So we'll just take that, which is white. So all Fs is full on all the colors, which makes it white. Not at all like using paint where all the colors make it black. Did I not just make you white? How did you get black? Stop it. You're lying to me. Fill color is white. It shows it's right over there. Okay. Storage black. Wait, what? How does that one have... That's weird. How did you get lowercased? Okay, just run this again real quick. Not sure what's going on with that. It's really strange that those would be black still. Like they're getting overridden by something. Okay, let's try stopping the app. Actually stopping it. There's still a process running for a number format test. Oh, I very much hope not. Okay. That's been stopped. Let's run this. Still. Okay, fine. Let's go back to the bottom navigation. And let's see, we can, looks like that's what we need. So just for, I'm just going to change these back to black. Okay. Back to black, bottom navigation items. We don't need any more or that chart. Let's open our bottom navigation drawer, which is this, and then, oh, so we set the text color there. Copy that color. Item icon tint will now be white. So, and tinting is what they call it when you have an icon and, or, you know, really a drawable or whatever, and you just put another color on top of it so, to make it a different color. So, huzzah! There we have open orders, price chart, trade history with some beautiful icons, just wonderful iconography. And then let's, we've got all that going too. Sweet. And all right, back over here. Let's just look at that real quick. 15.9.091, perfect. Doing great. Okay, so we can call that a reasonable stopping point for now. So this one thing, you know, I want to get to making the chart. That sounds fun, but I don't want to get necessarily ahead of ourselves on kind of completing the app. So one thing that I'm a little worried about, or not really worried about, but that you would probably want to do is something with this order book. So here, their order book here, you can scroll up and down. It's got a lot more information in it. So let's try to find a way to start in the middle of a recycler view. So Android, start in middle of recycler view. What? Scroll view? Why would you have a recycle view and a scroll view? That's strange. Recycle view, scroll to middle of screen. Okay, recycle view. Well, you know, in this case, it might actually just be easier to do it myself and look at the docs. So let's try to fix that though. So we might get to price chart today, or that might have to wait for next week. But just for a little teaser on price chart, it's going to be following. one of these. I think it's market data. Where did you go? Market data. So we can get trades like this, and yeah, here we go. So we can get the history, which are grouped in different brackets that give you this time that the trade happened, or that the time period that it's I guess summarizing, and then the low during the period, the high during the period, what it opened at during the period, what it closed at during the period, and what its volume was during the period. So when we're looking at this chart here, all these little, and they're called candles, so this is summarizing a 6-hour period, each candle. So if we change this out to like 1 day, these are now summarizing a whole day. And also, just to address this really funny line over here, this was basically a failure of the GDAX exchange to work correctly. And yeah, makes this really strange line that makes it look like the price got down to, I guess, like 0 or something. Oh, that's funny that it shows negative numbers when you move here, like the price could go negative. Anywho, so each one of these bars is showing the low during the period, the high during the period, where it opened, and where it closed. And depending on what color it is, that's how you know if the close was higher than the open or the close was lower than the open. So if it opens high and then closes low, you get a red candle. And if it opens low and closes high, you get a green candle. And so just these candles are used to summarize just different periods of time. And so when we get the historic rates using the REST API from GDAX, that's what we're going to get. We're going to get a big list of candles, and then we're going to turn that into a chart. But first, let's look back at the open orders adapter, or perhaps the open orders fragment. Yes, the fragment. And let's change this to take 100 instead of take 10, and let's see what it looks like. So at take 10, we only had 10 red lines up here and 10 green lines down here. And obviously there's a lot more than 10. In fact, if we show this depth chart here, this shows this information over here graphically. So see, this 153 is right here, this 153, and then see there's this big wall right here, that's this line right here, right there. And so if we zoom out a ton, you can see that there's just, orders all the way from basically 0 up to, wherever people decide to place orders. There's a ton of orders, and we don't really need to show all of this in our app, though we might try to get a depth chart going on. I don't know that that's, if we'll want to do that after doing a price chart or not, but so we've got all that information that we need to handle. Okay, that's running. Over to open orders. And now, see, we're starting at the top. This is no good, because here we have an order at 399, way too high. So we gotta scroll all the way down while it updates, and then here we find the middle. And so I'm just not sure how we can have an order book, stay centered. This is a challenge. But we've got to try something. I mean, we could just leave it at 10. This doesn't have to be the best app in the world. I mean, it would be nice if we could handle everything we'd like to handle, but I'm not sure off the top of my head. Let's look at recycler views and see what options we've got. Recycler view Android, or Android, it'll get it. Recycler view. All right, there we go. Recycler view. And I think we can jump to view, so we could maybe like jump to the top something view. Let's see, we have add, clear, compute, dispatch, draw, find, fling. So we can make them fling. That's cool. Can get a bunch of stuff. Offset. Some listeners. So we can scroll to position. That's what I think I was looking for. Okay, so let's come back into here, and this might be good enough. So in open orders, we get the view model. Where's the recycle view? Are we in the recycle view here? Adapter. It's got to be set. The adapter has to set recycle view. Yeah, okay, we're in the recycle view, which we're returning. But then inside, can we scroll to in here? Okay, scroll to position 100. And maybe that'll keep it so that when it's initialized, it jumps down to the middle, which will be 100, since we're taking 100 from the top and 100 from the bottom. That should do it. These icons do look pretty good. Okay, trade history coming in, click on open orders. That doesn't look like it jumped us down at all. It's a lot easier to scroll through though. Why are you not jumping all around? I guess it's not moving as fast as it usually is. Maybe it's moving outside of our area. Nope, that's not quite right. We click price chart, what do we get there? So we need to make it so that when we click on open orders, that it jumps that recycle view to the middle. So let's, that's probably in main activity, right? Minimize this. Let's just delete it then. Okay, so we have switch fragment, bottom nav items, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Switch fragment. So is there a fragment listener we can use for this maybe? So we've got open orders fragment, and on create view, we scroll to position 100. So let's go ahead and grab, let's make val recycler view, which is, actually let's make it late init, which means we're gonna have to make it a var. Recycler view, which is a recycler view. Stop it, no error there. And then instead of returning this, let's set recycler view equal to it, and then return it. And that gives us access to recycler view. And then I don't use fragments that frequently, but let's look at what override we have here. So on start, it would be the, or on resume, be what I'm looking for. On start, let's Google it. Fragment on start. Actually, can we do that? Life cycle makes it visible to the user. So resume maybe, but it should sort of be there. So if we do, let's look back at the code here, and back in our activity, close match order, an activity. Do we have access to the fragment? Yes, entry.fragment. So we add it, we commit it. Let's do, just to see if this works. I don't know if this is the best solution. So this is the first entry. So if entry dot fragment is open orders fragment. So that's how you do that in Kotlin, super simple. So if it is an orders fragment, then entry.fragment.recyclerView, because it knows, and that's what this green thing means, is it knows it's an open orders fragment. You don't need to cast it because it's this check verifies that, and that's what it's going to say. It's smart cast to open orders fragment. So super cool. .recyclerView .scroll to position 100. So, and that's after it's been committed. So that should work, right? And so then it won't work. Oops, touched the mic. Won't work when we do it if we switch to the chart view. So the chart view is currently just the same as open orders view, but since this is only for open orders fragment, not gonna work. Unless it uses an open orders fragment, which I guess it does, right? Yes, so yeah, never mind. Charts is gonna do the same thing. So let's see if that works. But first, let me take it out of wherever we put that in. Orders fragment, is that where we tried to click it? Was it here? Did we do it here? Yes, we did. Okay, so already got rid of it. And let's get rid of this override to onStart too. Didn't need that. All right, run this again. See if we can't make that jump to the middle. And then still only taking 100. Maybe we'd want this to be a setting so that users could look at however much of the order book they want to look at. Though currently leaving it at 100, probably good enough. Especially since personally, when I'm looking at an order book, you know, if you want to look at more of the order book, you look at the chart over here. This is way more informative than looking at a bunch of numbers. And if we wanted to look at it in the same range that we're seeing here, say, 300 to 301, we can zoom in, and there's a pretty tight range. And then from here, that wall looks a lot bigger, doesn't it? So get that, and I must have clicked in there because it's telling me I want to sell. And let's click on buy to make that green again, because green's better than red, right? All right, got this, got that. Open orders. Oh, stopped. That's no good. Log cat. And jump to the bottom. Kill that. What do we have? Late init property recycle view has not been initialized. You mean that we commit the fragment and this hadn't even been created yet? Really? That is frustrating. Okay. Well, then I guess we can try to get rid of that. And then open orders fragment. We can try it, so it'll presumably be created after this. We can try to scroll it at this point. So recycle view that, scroll position and 100. We can try that as well. That's another approach that might work. Kind of weird that after the fragment was committed that it still hadn't been, the onCreate hadn't been called, which is what that means, right? Because we set this, right? That's that equal to that, yeah. Which, if this does work, we can make this a local variable to the onCreate view function. Okay, recycle view exists. Are we jumped to the middle? So we never figured out why it does that sometimes either. Doesn't really have anything to say at the bottom. It has loaded open orders. We can click on price chart. We call it switch fragment, loaded open orders. Actually, you know what we can do? Let's come back into main activity and let's put that back. What the heck just happened? Oh, okay, it came back. All right, okay. And let's do framework.recycle view. Let's do that. And let's make our recycle view something that can be null. There we go. Cool. And then we can just assert that these are not null because they're not going to be null because recycle view gets created right there. So we can leave that scroll to position there. But this is only going to be called when we've created the view, and that's, you know, not going to get called every time that we click on the button. So what we want to have happen is that when we click on the emulator, the button at the bottom to jump to the tab, it's going to take us to that tab and jump us right to the middle to show us where the action's happening. And hopefully by doing it like this, that's what's going to happen. No, that can be null now. Yeah, okay, there we go. So, and what this is going to do then is if recycle view has not been set, then it won't do anything. It'll just, this whole statement will equal null, and that's it. Who cares? But if it does exist, it'll scroll to position. So maybe what's happening is when we click on it this first time, maybe it's, you know, this doesn't exist yet, it's getting created, but maybe if we come back to it, it'll work. Nope, maybe not. Darn. So, and here let's log recycler view and do entry fragment recycler view and just log that guy. Cool. And then we'll be able to see what it, you know, what it's really going on there. And actually, let's check the docs for scroll to position. The convenience method to scroll to a certain position rather forwards the call to, okay. Well, wait, what? We can call it on this too. Okay, so I guess it's just calling it on the layout manager. Still, that should work. All right, let's look at our logcat here. Jump down to the bottom. Recycle view is null. Okay. Recycle view is null. Recycle view exists right there. At that time it existed, and it didn't scroll us anywhere. Frustrating. And there it also existed, but it didn't scroll us. So let's now search for scroll to position. Not working. Must happen a lot. That's with the scroll listener. Let's try to find something a little different. Okay. Smooth scroll. All right, let's try that. Smooth scroll to position. Run that. And then, so this still won't get called for the first 2 or 3 chances, just because that was null. But hold on, let's see if there's any questions as well. Cool. All right, back here we've got loaded trade history, great stuff. Open orders, recycle view, null. Then when it finishes inserting all the open orders, because it has to pull in, you know, hundreds of open orders. Oh, look at those flash. That's perfect. We actually got a good connection for once. Super cool. All right, back to price chart. Recycle view is null again. Recycle view, not null that time, but also didn't scroll, did it? Nope, sure didn't. Interesting. Maker order is null. I suppose that's good to know. Hey, that kind of scrolled, right? Actually, that kind of scrolled. I think. 95, so scroll to the top here, click over on price chart, 395, open orders. Nope, I guess not. Guess it didn't scroll. But if I start here at the bottom and then click on price chart, nope, still at the top. Darn it. All right, maybe we need to search for something else, like starting a recycle view in the middle. So Android start recycler view and middle, or maybe at the bottom. Scroll to middle of selected item. No, that's not quite right. Reliable way to tell it to scroll to an item at position X. Okay, that might be useful. Scroll to position with offset consistently will scroll the item to the position provided to the top of the view as opposed to scroll to position, which just guarantees that the item will be visible. Well, index 100 is certainly not visible when we switch. Wait, did that do it? That's frustrating that it seems like it does it every once in a while. Either way, I mean, it's definitely not working. So let's quit dealing with that. And yeah, so recycle view, not null, whatever. Smooth scroll to position 200. Maybe that'll do it. We can even command B into that to see if it's got any documentation for us. Oh, that's cool. Huh. No argument. Okay. Orders. Should have waited for the all clear from that to say loaded open orders before clicking on open orders. Would have been a good idea. That looks like it wasn't quite the top, but it is the top. Okay. All right, so 200 didn't do anything. Didn't even give us an error, which I honestly thought that would, because there's not 200 in our list. So if we go to open orders fragment, or rather adapter, this open orders dot size is how many we have in there. So let's try smooth scroll to 0. Maybe that'll scroll to the bottom. So if this doesn't do anything either, then we can safely say that smooth scroll to position is just not doing anything for us. And did that run? Well, I didn't click on trade history, so I guess it ran. Okay, so let's look for logcat. We wanted to say loaded trade history, 149. Okay, that's recent. So price chart. Nope, didn't work. What's going on here? Yeah, open orders. Oh, recycle view still null. There, we've got a recycler view entry, but now still won't scroll to the right spot in the recycler view. That is obnoxious. So I know I've gotten this working before, and it is using one of these scroll to things. recycler view. Recycler view. Scroll to position, or scroll to bottom. That should be easy. Let's try to just start on the green stuff. Okay, let's grab this thing. Scroll to position, items.size, and we can just add that to our adapter even, I think. Because it does end up, I think, just calling through to the adapter. So here in open orders adapter, fun x something equals scroll to position. Is there not a scroll to position function on the adapter? I was under the impression there was. Oh no, it's the layout manager. Darn it. Okay. And then back to main activity. Nope. Let's get rid of trade history for the moment. Okay, leave this at that. Cool. Let's get rid of that thing. And so we want to scroll to position. Open orders adapter. Let's create that here. Then we can do open orders adapter dot whatever we called our list, or item count. That'll do it. Item count -1, and let's even log the item count here. Do and open orders adapter dot item count. Okay, log that, and let's run this again. And while that's running, let me check if there's any questions. Sweet. So that's gonna run. We hope. All right, trade history that needs to get cleared out. And we're back, and we should have opened the, or should have loaded these all by now. Look at to the bottom. Item count 0. What? What? Excuse me? Also means that on create code is getting called, since we're seeing zeros every time we switch these. We're calling on create view every time we switch those. What if we do it in here instead? So it'll be sort of on this listener. Oh no, because that'll get called all the time, not just the first time anything happens. So I think there the issue is that we're starting our adapter and our recycler view, and it's not got anything in it until this thing gets an observe. Although I guess we can test that. That's fine. Let's scroll to position, adapter dot item count -1, and we can still log item count in here. So let's do that. Item count as adapter dot item count. And then maybe that'll do it. And so to be clear, this will scroll us to the bottom, not to the middle. But that'll be easy to check because it'll be green instead of what it's been, which is red. Alrighty, got that up, cool. And as usual, it takes a second to delete what's already in the database and get the WebSocket hooked up and get that data flowing. Flowing well. Price chart. Green, all right. That's perfect, so nice. I think that means that worked. However, as you'll notice here, I can't scroll up because, you know, every time something new happens, it's gonna call this scroll to position thing. Oy. So let's do this. Var is created equals false. Is created equals false. And then at the end here, let's set is created equal to true. And then in here, let's do if not is created, then let's do it on new line. Scroll to position. Let's do 100. Okay, so maybe that'll keep it from updating every time we click on it, or anytime anything changes, because that's what was happening. Anytime it updated with a new open order, we were getting it to scroll to the bottom. No good. So let's actually get the logcat up. We're at the bottom. It's done inserting. Perfect. So we can click on open orders. Select view is null in this case. So is this is the top. We're at the top. What does that mean? Oh, did I write a thing that's never going to get called? Yeah, it looks like I did. Yeah, that checks out. That checks out. Yeah, I wrote something that's never going to happen. Right? No, that should be called, wait, if is created is false. Then scroll to show, yeah, that's going to be, all right, well, let's just add is created in here. Do it the easy way. All right, then we can run this again, because the scroll to position definitely worked earlier. So we want is created to be, I think, false here. Logcat. And let's jump to open orders soon. Just want to give it a second. Okay. So yeah, here's all those changes. The item count going up. Huh. Okay, so maybe the issue is that this, instead of being 100, so maybe we can't take 100. Maybe it won't let us for some reason. So let's set this to adapter.item count divided by 2. Oh, and was that ever false even? I don't think it was. So that's not going to work. Let's search for, and I know you're not going to be able to see me typing, but is created :space false. Yeah, that's a big no there. F goes away. Darn it. Okay. Well, that's a trickier problem than I'd anticipated, because if we do it, like, if we go to the 25th element here, or the 22.5 element, then, you know, once it starts adding elements on us, we won't be in the middle anymore. and it'll be hard to scroll and all that other good stuff. So instead of is created, let's do a update count. Set it equal to 0, and then when it gets created, we'll set it equal to 0, and then nope. And here at the end of this, we will just increment it. So update count plus plus, and then if update count is 0, we will do that. And we will log update count instead. All right, let's see how that works out. Oh, we need to stop doing that and then check back in the bottom there. Okay, get this back up. Lots of trades coming in. Open orders. Nothing. Okay, so click on price chart. It's the same thing. And we're in the green. And update count 0. Item count 200, update count 0. That looks about right. And oh my goodness, that was right in the middle. So yes, that was perfect. Though it's not updating, frustrating. There, this one will at least update for us. So it's not in the middle, so we needed to throw on an offset to that. So let's do scroll to position. There's a with offset function, isn't there? Android scroll to position with offset. Offset. Let's see, Android scroll to position with offset. Yeah, what are you a part of? You're part of the linear layout manager. Okay, that's fine. Let's come back into here, and then instead of scroll to position, we will do, darn it. So it looks like the layout manager has to exist first. So let's get that out here. Do my layout manager dot scroll to position with offset, and let's just control B under that real quick. Offset the distance and pixels. So let's come back and we're gonna quickly go in here and we're gonna copy this and make a height pixels. And let's copy that, and we want to get the height pixels from metrics. Great. So then we want to scroll to position with offset, and this is the position we want. And we want an offset of height pixels. Why is that not coming in? We're in a different class. What's this? Oh, we need a context. So fine, let's add some brackets. Things get hard to read when you get them over there. So height equals context dot height pixels. We can just use height. Although actually that's not that long. That might be visible still. Let's see. It's good enough. Okay. Layout manager, scroll to position with offset. That position with an offset of actually not the whole height. We want half the height. Okay, maybe that'll work. And that'd make a really good stopping point, because that would put us in a good spot on the bids, or the orders book, or the order book rather, and with the trade history as well. just leave us in a pretty good spot to get started with the price chart next week. Especially since it looks, you know, that's clearly the best icon out of the three of these. It looks the most appropriate for the price chart. All right, jump over to open orders. That's good enough, right? Yeah. That's pretty good. Kind of in the middle, not exactly. If I could think of a way to get this to be better, might do it. So maybe a better approach would be to have two different recycler views. So recycle view for the asks up here in red and a recycle view for the bids down here in green. And then you could have something between them, like another view like here showing the spread. And then you would just put this view in the middle and you'd scroll to that one somehow. So that's certainly doable. But again, making it so that the recycle view can update, and which would mean adding rows above and below without moving the screen up and down. I'm not sure how easy that would be, and I don't know how to do it off the top of my head. So for now, I think this is really good. We can scroll in this as much as we want, and it, you know, just works. Actually, this, are you trying to scroll me? Can I get up to the top of the red? Should be able to scroll all the way up to however many, you know, 100 rows. So we're not bringing in the whole thing still, just most of it. All right, and yeah, that is totally updating so fast. Got 52, 88. That's not even right. So, oh, now it's 52 and 18. So, oh, there we go, 45, which it was 45 for a little bit. Yeah, so we're pretty close to being on time and up to date with this stuff, but a little behind. And again, I don't think that's because of the authentication, because I was looking at this stuff earlier this week and it was just flying along. It looked great. And if we flip over to trade history here, let's see, ours is maybe 17 seconds behind right now. So we might still have some of that issue remaining, but I think it's probably due to either my computer being slow with all the stuff running on, or maybe GDAX having a higher load, just because it didn't seem like anybody had successfully connected to the WebSocket with authentication. So I don't think that has been accomplished. I mean, I'm sure it has, but not by me or not by anybody who has posted about it in Java or anything like that. So don't think that's the problem. Anywho, let's see if there's any questions. And then next week, charts. We could probably spend forever cleaning up this order book section, but for the time being, good enough, right? So next week, look into charts, do some more stuff there. And let's see if there's any questions over here. Can you tell me if that course is good enough? I don't know. I haven't looked at any of the Udemy courses, though. If you get any sort of Java stuff covered before you come into Android, that's certainly really helpful. And understanding sort of object-oriented programming, you know, how objects work, arrays, all that sort of stuff. It's only going to help you when you come into trying to make an Android app. So, all right, next week we will maybe add some finishing touches to this, but probably not spend too much time on it, and then try to get into the price chart stuff, because that is just more fun to do. So, all right, take care. I'll see you all next week.